What's up, everybody? All right, guys. So it's nice to see everyone keep adding to the webinar right now. We've seen a lot of registration today. So, guys, those of you who register, you would be able to see everything online and also ask questions. And those who watching this webinar in replay, also thank you so much for the trust and looking for our information. Today, we're going to discuss an amazing topic in this webinar about improvement of your bookkeeping and other stuff. But while people getting added and not losing the actual content when they hear live with us. Hey, Anna, what's up? I see you already saying hello. Okay, guys, as again, hello for everybody. Guys, the next week, we're going to have a webinar about how to get maximize the amount of money getting back from your Amazon account. I will give you right now a quick announcement. Anna, you can put this announcement on the screen right now, so you would be able to register for the next week webinar. We're gonna explain you how to automatically get money from Amazon. And as I was saying to you, like last week, one of my friends, I was being on a vacation with them, and he's a user of our account, Sellerise. And then I asked him to pull his reimbursement tab. While he said to me that some other services using the reimbursement system for him. So and he pulled the account, and I've seen $577,000 that Amazon owes him. So which means the other agency wasn't able to get this money back. The worst part about this, guys, was that the Amazon has some specific time limit for you to get money back from them, which means, as you can see on my screen, you can see this 18 months plus in red. So something that you see right there, it means you will never get this money back from Amazon. So the guy was losing about $400 a day by not just using a proper system to automate reimbursements from Amazon. And the cool part about Sellerise, guys, we can do it automatically for you. You just need to log into the dashboard. But also, we're gonna dedicate a whole webinar next week explaining you step by step how to get this money from Amazon. And for you guys, the most important part, you don't need to spend any single dollar to check how much money Amazon owes you. So regardless if you're using some other services or service providers or whatever you do, you can simply log into to Sellerise account, do one-click connect. We are official partner with the Amazon, and we have a special system that called one-click connect with just one button without any other work from your side. You would be connected everything like through the campaigns and advertisements and your data pulling from Amazon. We're gonna gather this data and we're gonna tell you how much exact money Amazon owes you, and you would be able to see, let's say, I would be happy if you will see $500,000, so which means you can buy yourself some extra awesome vacation. So anyway, guys, with this information, please, Anna, show the last slide for the people to register for the webinar next week. You can guys can go to sellerise.com/webinar on September 29 at 1 p.m. EST. I'm gonna perform an in-depth information how to get majority of the money from Amazon in an automated way, so you would be able to get everything that Amazon owes you. But before you do this and before you jump to the webinar, try to see and sign up for the free account to pull the data and see exactly how much money Amazon owes you. For those of you who will be come next week for the webinar and see exactly how much money Amazon owes you, please do a screenshot. I want to see how much money it could be. It could be $1,000, could be $10,000. And as an example of my friend, he used to have $577,000 on his account. So guys, with all this information and a little promotion of the next webinar, you would be able to get this information. I want to announce this week webinar, which will be a fantastic information about your bookkeeping improvements. And we have a pro today in a room of this webinar. It's my good friend Nathan and his company Ecombalance. He built a successful business previously with a company to hire assistants from Philippines and around the world, improving your operations. And nowadays he jumped with a full dive into the bookkeeping services, and I've seen how much they grow. The feedback about his company was tremendous. That's why I decided, hey, I want to have the best people on my webinars to explain how to improve your operations on a daily basis. Nathan, mic is yours.
Yeah, Dima, thanks so much for having me, and everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. So, a few quick things before we get started. So, I am an entrepreneur. I'm an e-commerce seller. I sold on Amazon from 2008 to 2016. Sold about $25 million there. So I'm coming to you guys from a point of an e-commerce seller, from an entrepreneur, not from a bookkeeper, because that's important. As an entrepreneur, you don't need to know every little fine detail of how QuickBooks works and how bookkeeping works, but you do need to understand some basic concepts that are going to make your life easier. It's going to help you spot good bookkeepers from bad bookkeepers. And overall, it's going to help you make better decisions in your business and ultimately get investing, get funding, sell your company, whatever you want to do. So that's where I'm coming from. I don't think a lot of you joined to learn a lot about the technical aspects of QuickBooks, but if you did, I'm sorry to disappoint you. And so super quick background on me before we get started. I mentioned I was an e-commerce seller. I've never had a real job. I started that company when I was in college, and I grew that using a lot of virtual assistants and freelancers. And I ended up turning that into a marketplace called FreeUp that provided virtual assistants and freelancers to e-commerce sellers. So I started servicing e-commerce sellers. And one of the best decisions I made at the beginning of FreeUp was hiring a bookkeeper from day one. The month would end, I would get a report within 10, 15 days, income statement, balance sheet, cash flow. I'd review the report, which we're going to talk about with my business partner, and make decisions based on what the numbers were telling me. And that was a key to us growing from $1 million to $5 million to $9 million to $12 million. And it was a key of us passing due diligence and eventually selling the company at the end of 2019. With my Amazon business before that, I was a young entrepreneur. I was waiting until the end of the year to dump it on my accountant, or I tried to do it myself, which we'll also talk about. And that was a disaster. So I learned my lesson. And once we sold FreeUp, we started consulting with different e-commerce sellers. We learned pretty quickly that we didn't like being consultants, but the common theme was that before we could help e-commerce sellers make decisions about their company, we would have to revamp their monthly bookkeeping processes. So that was how we got the idea for starting Ecom Balance, which we started at the beginning of this year. Now we have a team of 11 high-level e-commerce bookkeepers helping clients from all around the world. And that's kind of my background of how I went from Amazon to FreeUp to Ecom Balance. So today,
sorry for interrupting you, but let's be honest. Let's just be honest and explain. Not maybe to. Here's the biggest thing, So from me working and doing a lot of meetups and events and going to different conferences and speaking with a lot of Amazon sellers, there's one big part about majority of the people who works at Amazon and maybe even e-commerce. They don't keep their books clear. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, you should see the disaster stories that we get. I mean, we get new clients or new potential clients every day, and you've got people who haven't filed their taxes in 3 years. You've got people who've been doing a lot of the mistakes that I'm about to talk about, and we have to redo all their books from scratch. And it's always way easier to just do it right from day one. And especially if you want to sell your company, I mean, there's people that are trying to sell their company, and the buyers are saying, before we do anything, you need to revamp the past 4 years of your book. So this is stuff you got to do.
Yeah, and you saying you're absolutely smart guy, and you're probably very dedicated and very system oriented. That's probably why you do this this type of service in the company. But I remember when I get started, that's exactly was one of my biggest disasters. I was focusing a lot on marketing, but everything that was connected to calculating my profits, and it was always a kind of a topic that I didn't want to talk about because I just didn't have time for it. It was kind of, I think there's more money on my bank account, which means I'm good. So by the end of the month, it wasn't like a strategic planning on finances. And I was trying to calculate my potential profits and my refunds somehow. But if we're talking about I would say normal professional way of bookkeeping and finance operations, it was something that I was always thinking about. but it also was staying like somewhere, maybe on like my task number 15. So, which changed my game a lot after I implement a real financial forecasting in my company. So let's talk more about. And guys, I will tell you this way: if you feel like, hey, there's some other guys they doing better job, and you probably don't doing your bookkeeping, don't worry. Like I would say, maybe 8 out of 10 sellers at the beginning, they don't know their numbers. So, and if you don't know your numbers, you shouldn't be like worry too much, And you have to understand, it's not like only 5% people not doing their bookkeeping or tax correctly. There's a lot more people out there similar to you and me, and Nathan knows them. Like he speaks with sellers all the time, and he sees like what's going on the market.
Absolutely. And that kind of leads us into mistake number 1 out of 11 of common mistakes that e-commerce sellers make. And that's doing the bookkeeping yourself. So as an entrepreneur, there is no situation that you should be doing your own bookkeeping for 2 reasons. One, it's not a good use of your time. Any time that you spend doing your books is time that you're not spending launching a new brand, growing your business, marketing, sales, whatever it is. It should not be a focus of your time. And if you talk to 7, 8-figure, 9-figure entrepreneurs, none of them are doing their own bookkeeping. It's not sustainable.
And you're absolutely right. And that's what I'm saying. They're exactly following your advice. They follow your advice. You shouldn't do books yourself, and they don't do it. But they don't find anyone else who do it. So generally speaking, company stays without the books.
So I mentioned 2 reasons. 1, it's not a good use of your time. And 2, most entrepreneurs are not good at bookkeeping. I know for my Amazon business, I tried to do the bookkeeping myself. I spent hours and hours and days and months. And eventually I just had to pay someone to clean up my books anyway. And cleanup work costs a lot more from the bookkeeping side and is a lot more time and energy than just doing it right from the beginning. So don't do your own books. Get out of the mentality of doing your own books. You do need to understand finances, which we will talk about, but you should not be doing your own bookkeeping. Even if you're a small new seller, the first 6 months of your business are so important. The time that you spend doing bookkeeping instead of focusing on other parts of your business can be the difference between success and failure. And like our monthly minimum is $250 a month, and we have people that we charge more. That doesn't mean you have to use us, but you should find an e-commerce bookkeeper from day one. You can always upgrade later, but you should not be doing your own bookkeeping. So that's mistake number 1. Anything you want to add before I go to number 2?
No, I absolutely love it. And don't take me wrong, guys. This is not a pitch webinar. This webinar is really to help you to understand the processes and what people and e-commerce sellers facing on a daily basis. And Nathan exactly right. In the first 6 months, if you will try to do everything right in your company, you probably have more chances to fail than if you delegate this correctly to someone else like Nathan or maybe other guys you already been using. And if it works for you guys, it's absolutely perfect. The only goal today for this webinar is to explain you how much it's important to keep your finances in place and understand like when you make a next decision, because if you do an incorrect decision once, it's okay. You can work harder and fix this mistake. But if you do continuously some specific mistakes, bookkeeping or not even keeping that, then it can lead to the disaster.
Absolutely. So let's talk about mistake number 2. So for mistake number 2, you got to understand accounting. So accounting is a very generic word, and it's broken up into 3 different parts. You've got your CPA or tax person. That's the tax guy. Then you've got your bookkeepers who should be on monthly, which we'll talk about. And then as you get bigger, usually around $5 million a year or more, you start to enter into that CFO territory, and you can hire a part-time CFO, outsource CFO, full-time CFO, and they all need to stay in their lane. So the tax person should be helping you with tax strategy, with tax advice, how much to pay yourself, what states to register in, all those types of things. The bookkeeper should be providing your books on time every single month in a way that helps you make decisions, and at the end of the year, passing it to your tax person. And your CFO is there for financial strategies and financial planning to try to figure out what decisions need to be made to help you financially in the future. You want to keep each person in their own lane, because what ends up happening is the CPAs sometimes creep into the bookkeeping, and CPAs are usually good at tax. They're usually not set up to do bookkeeping, with some exceptions. You want your CPA focused on tax. They're most expensive besides the CFO. You want the bookkeepers focused on bookkeeping because they're relatively cheap compared to other things you might buy in your business. And you want them working together. So what happens is if you use your CPA for bookkeeping, one, it's more expensive. And two, they have their own busy seasons. Like right now, October 15th coming up, that's their busy season. April 15th, that's their busy season. And a lot of times they're not set up to get you your books on time every single month. They might do it here and there, but here and there, they're going to fall behind. They also do the books in a way to file your taxes, which is not wrong. You're going to pay the right amount of taxes, but it doesn't break it down into the information that you need on a monthly basis to make decisions. And that is the key part of bookkeeping. All the other stuff like paying taxes, selling your business, getting investments, that's great. But the real point of bookkeeping is to make good decisions every month. So mistake number 2 is using your CPA for your bookkeeping. You want a separate CPA, a separate bookkeeper, and you want them working together and each staying in their lane, paying the appropriate price accordingly, and making sure the CPA is helping with the tax strategy and the bookkeeper is doing the monthly bookkeeping. Anything you want to add in there before I keep going?
Yeah. I remember back in the days, like I would say like 6, 7, or 8 years ago, when I was just getting started, all this CPAs, bookkeeping, accounting, CA4, it was like a terminology that was kind of out of my reach. So nowadays, I just want to tell you guys in a simple words, like say, we have a whole team, because due to my complexity, we have like about 12 different companies that doing completely different stuff in my ecosystem. But primary focus, what we have nowadays, it's Amazon and our software company that helps Amazon sellers. But let me tell you, let's say we have CA4. And let's better start with because CFO we just hired about a year ago, but CPA and accountant, like bookkeeping. So the CPA, it's the person that primarily goal, it's only to save your taxes. So he don't do anything. He just, the only what you do, it's do about a one meeting per quarter, and you explain him all your systems, and he tell you, hey, now you need to pay yourself more salary or reduce your salary. Maybe now you need to move your S corporation to C corporation, and that's what CPA advises. They are really expensive, not crazy expensive, but good CPA may cost you for the average company about $30,000 to $35,000 per year, but they do only 4 calls with you per year, which means each call about 1 hour will cost you about $10,000. So that's exactly what they do. But when you have CPA and your company big enough, you can save hundreds and hundreds of $1,000s on taxes. So when you do when we're talking about accounting and bookkeeping, we have about 3 people in our company who continuously keeping our books. As I'm saying, due to the complexity, I know Nathan knows they improved their system. He sent me like, actually we got from Nathan some cool advices how to improve our internal system, which was completely awesome. So for you, when you're not a huge company or have like simple one type of business, it's perfect to work with Nathan. Or even if you get into the complexity, they'll help you to navigate to the better way. So they calculate your numbers monthly, give you specific reports, cash balances, which is sometimes you would be surprised how like that you need not only P&L, you need other type of reports to make better decisions. And then there's a CA4. The CA4, it's a higher level, and based where you're gonna hire this person in United States, CA4 may cost you like 100,000 plus per year, or even more, depends on a company and structure. But we hire person from overseas, which cost us about $45,000 per year. This person in depth knows your finances. He doing forecasting for you. He analyzing like how fast you operate the cash in your company, what's your ROIs, and optimizing your money flows through the finance standpoint, not just on the logistics or marketing. He knows entire picture of the company. It's kind of second person after the CEO, after the main guy, and probably after you in the company.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was a good summary.
Mm.
Cool. Ready to keep going?
Yeah, I am.
All right. Mistake number 3, doing your books yearly or quarterly. I'll get people all the time that maybe they want to save money and they're like, hey, I don't want to look at my finances every month. I'm going to do it once a quarter. I'm going to just dump it on my account at the end of the year. Get in the mentality that at the very least, you have to do your books monthly. If you do it quarterly, things are going to go by that you're going to wish that you were able to make decisions on. Remember, bookkeeping is all about decisions, and you want to be able to make good decisions every single month, not once a quarter, not once a year. You don't want to be guessing just based on the money going to your bank account. You want to see real numbers every single month. Now, as you get bigger, you might want weekly reports. You might want daily reports, and not everything needs to be an income statement, balance sheet, cash flow, but at the very minimum, you should be getting an income statement, balance sheet, cash flow every single month. And that's going to help you make key decisions based on what the numbers are actually telling you. Anything you want to add before I keep going?
No, that's very, very good statement that you just said. Monthly bookkeeping is the key.
Cool. So let's talk about tools and how to make this easy. So this is the overall setup that you need as an e-commerce seller. And this is what entrepreneurs should really know. So there are 2 accounting softwares that you have the option of using. And some people like one, some people like the other. They both have their own pros and cons, but that's QuickBooks Online and Xero. We live in 2022 right now, so QuickBooks Desktop is not a real option unless you plan on having a bookkeeper come to your office every single day. You're really just deciding between QuickBooks Online and Xero. I wouldn't overthink it. I would go by whatever one your bookkeeper has more experience in. There are a lot of other accounting tools. There's Wave Accounting. That someone posted, what about EU companies? QuickBooks Online has a Europe version. We have European clients, and so does Xero. So those shouldn't be an option, but that shouldn't be a problem. But there are other accounting tools that are free, and they're free for a reason. There are also companies like Bench where you're using their accounting software, and that is a huge problem. If you ever want to switch, you have everything on their proprietary software that no one uses. So make sure that at the very least, you're using either QuickBooks or Xero. Yes, they have a monthly fee. It's pretty cheap. It's like somewhere around $50 or more or less, depending on which account you use. But you got to use one of those 2 main softwares. Anything else down the line, as you grow, you're just going to have to move it to one of those 2 softwares anyway. So you might as well use them from day one. The next thing is a connector tool. You need something to connect to the marketplaces. For whatever reason, Amazon makes it very difficult to connect directly to QuickBooks, and you will spend hours and hours and hours trying to get correct data, trying to get it to reconcile, and it never will. You need a tool. There's a few out there. There's Connect My Books. There's Link My Books. A personal favorite of ours, and we spent a lot of time testing this when we started Ecom Balance, is A2X. They are not the cheapest. We have a partnership with them, so we get like a bulk discount. But for whatever reason, they are by far the most accurate with the least amount of bugs every single month. So your basic software tech stack for bookkeeping is either QuickBooks Online or Xero, and some kind of connecting tool. And my referral is A2X. I have one more thing to add in there, but I'll let you jump in on that part if you have anything.
No, that's very good information, because we use QuickBooks as well. But honestly, we did a special improvement in company Sellerise that we have calculations on profits, but we also have a special tool that not available on the market in the previous generations on any other tool, which calls payoff reports, where you can calculate every single flows of your company. And because we're really efficient in the money flows, as we develop this reimbursement tool for Amazon sellers. But this is something that I'm going to discuss on the next webinar next week, and going to show you guys the entire ecosystem what we built for you. Let's continue going with you, Nathan.
Cool. And the next part of that is using the right banks and the right credit cards. So as always, a lot of times simpler is better. I know there's a lot of people out there that love profit first, and they've got 6 bank accounts that they're moving money around in. In my mind, that's crazy. I've never run a business that way. It's good for a lot of people that struggle to save money for taxes or pay themselves. But in general, the simpler, the better. Have 1 or 2 credit cards, have 1 or 2 bank accounts, and what bank accounts and what credit cards you use matters. First of all, never use a personal account for business. You should never be intermingling business and personal finances. Like you shouldn't be charging groceries to your business account or using your personal account for business and personal. That's like business 101. Don't do it. There's a lot of liability there. But don't just have a personal checking account that you're only using for business. While that's fine from like a legal standpoint, as long as it's only being used for business, most likely you're fine. It's bad from a bookkeeping standpoint because personal accounts don't allow view-only access. When you're working with a bookkeeper, you want to give them view-only access to all of your accounts, in addition to have those accounts connect to QuickBooks. So use banks that connect to QuickBooks and that give view-only access to your bookkeepers or to whoever you need it to, your accountant, your project manager, whatever it is. There are banks out there that are an absolute pain to give you only access to, or that don't even have that feature. And then every single month, you're going to have to download statements. Your bookkeeper is going to remind you to download statements. They're going to follow up with you, and you're just going to have to download statements and send it to them. And it's just one more annoying thing you have to do every single month. Take a day, go through your banks, go through your credit cards, consolidate if possible, and use banks that allow view-only access very easily. And that's going to save you tons of time going forward. So that's the overall setup. You want QuickBooks Online or Xero with a connecting tool, and then using banks or credit cards that allow view-only access to your bookkeeper.
Yeah, we also use, we primarily use Chase. I used to be a Wells Fargo user and Bank of America. Hate those banks for a few reasons. I don't want to put bad things about banks, but Chase is by far my favorite bank. And what we do as a setup, we have several accesses to the banks and ability for our customers to or to our team to be accessed. So what we do this, it's we're doing a view access. For example, I have my company, a warehouse that it's a fulfillment center. So we need to make sure that we're getting paid in time, and my manager comes to my bank account and see all the time who been paid for the fulfillment. Or let's say when we do Sellerise, I have a person in my company who goes set up Sellerise inside my Chase bank account. And then what I need to do is just go and click approve. Same is connected to the vendors. If I need to pay my suppliers or logistics companies or whatever, so the logistics person comes to them my Chase bank account, set up these payments, and then I just approve them. So when you set up this with Chase, you just put limitation that anything that above $1 have to be approved. So that's how you set up access for people to set up the payment process, and it's automate all the systems. Same as my assistant, she has access, accounting has access. They have all different levels of access to the banking system, which makes things much easier. And in Chase, they have a special program. It's called Chase Private Client. When you connect all the banks inside one ecosystem, and you can do up to 4 free wires per month. You do ACH payments for free, which is almost like a domestic wires inside the United States. And and that's this Chase helps us a lot. So in tons of credit cards that you have to manage, it's sometimes pain in the ass for each company, each project. You have 1 or 2 credit cards sometimes.
Absolutely. And a quick note for QuickBooks Online and Xero, you want to own your own QuickBooks Online and Xero account. I can't tell you how many horror stories there are where a bookkeeper is the real owner of those accounts, and the bookkeeper disappears and all your books are locked up with that bookkeeper. Pay for your own
Really?
QuickBooks, pay for your own Xero, keep ownership of that account. And for the banks, make sure from a bookkeeping standpoint, the only thing I want is view only access. I don't want to be able to move money, add money. The only thing I need is view only access. So if you're using a bookkeeper, don't give them more access than that.
And if you have your American Express credit card, which is like platinum or golden, I think you have a free 1-year access to the QuickBooks. They provide this. There's many benefits
Lots of coupons,
lots of coupons. Especially the most. What I love about American Express, they give you 10% on FedEx shipments, which saves us thousands of dollars per year. It's a great credit card. Okay, let's.
Cool. So to review, we got number 1, doing books yourself. Number 2, using a CPA for bookkeeping. Number 3, doing books yearly or quarterly. And number 4, using the right tools or not using the right tools is the mistake. Number 5, using cash basis instead of accrual basis accounting. So Very basically, cash basis means that any money that goes into or out of your account gets recorded on your books the moment it happens. So if you write a check to someone and they don't cash it for 2 months, the second they cash that check in 2 months, that's when it appears on your income statement inside your books. Accrual basis, it's at the time of the agreement. So if you agree to a contract with someone, it might show up on your books, even though you don't get paid for it for net 60 or whatever it is. And Joe Valley from Quiet Light, a lot of you guys might know him, who helps broker a lot of e-commerce businesses. And I think I have his book behind me on the shelf somewhere. He talks a lot about it in his book, Exitpreneur. The way to get the highest multiple for your business is to do accrual-based accounting. And the last thing you want to do is have to have 3 years of cash basis that you have to pay a large fixed price to a bookkeeping company to turn it over into accrual. Do it from accrual from day one. That should be a no-brainer. It's also going to help give you a much better idea of how much money you're actually making. Because let's say you buy a ton of inventory or a large expense in January. January might show a pretty poor month because you had that large purchase. And then February, March, April might seem pretty good because you didn't have that large purchase. But that doesn't tell you anything about how any of those months really are. And it's really tough to make decisions based on those numbers. So work with a bookkeeper that does accrual-based bookkeeping. That should be one of the first questions you ask any bookkeeper before you use them for your e-commerce business. Anything you want to add?
No, that's perfect, because we use cash and accrual as well, because we want to calculate both situations. But for taxes, we use accrual basis.
Right. And the beauty about QuickBooks Online, if you do accrual, you can always like flip it to cash. But a lot of times it's hard to do it the other way around. So that's number 5. Continuing on. So having the top line of your income statement being the net that's deposited into your bank account. And this is one of the easiest ways to see if a bookkeeper understands e-commerce. And it's also one of the most common mistakes that people make when they do their own bookkeeping. So a lot of people, if they get a $10,000 payment from Amazon, that's the top line of their income statement, when that is not true. There is Amazon sales, and then there's fees and returns and all these different line items. That is the top line of your income statement. So that's where the tools like Sellerise or A2X or Connect My Books or whatever tool that you're going to use, that's going to help you get the top line of your income statement correct with all the different fee breakdowns. And don't go by anything that's just the deposit into your bank account. That's also going to mean your taxes are going to be filed incorrectly. Anything you want to add there?
No, that's a very good statement.
Cool. Carrying on. So the next is segmenting your books. So there are sellers out there that are selling 5 products and 3 of them are unprofitable and they have no idea which ones it is. And all they're seeing is the bottom line. You also have people out there that are wasting a lot of time on marketplaces that are not making them that much money. You need your book segmented. You should know your numbers per SKU, and you should know your numbers per marketplace. That should be the bare minimum there. And you should be making individual decisions based on SKU or based on marketplace. So make sure when you're looking at your books that you have them segmented. It's something you can start off without and add down the line. But as your business grows and you open up new channels and launch new products, you want that segmentation so you can make real decisions.
Yeah, that's a very good statement. Especially, I remember about 6 years ago, we used to have about 300 SKUs, and then when things didn't go well, it was so complex for us to realize, hey, where the problems coming from? One product's making a ton of money, but some other products they just continue losing, and it was a tough decision to discontinue about 70 SKUs, and it was trucks and trucks and trucks going to the dump yard. So to the landfill to make sure we reduce these expenses.
Yeah. And I mean, same thing. If you guys have agencies on the side, you want to know what services you're selling the most of, what services are the most profitable. You want to segment your business no matter what the business is.
Agree.
All right. So that's number 7. Number 8 is only caring about your P&L statement. So profit and loss, income statement. There's 3 reports you should be getting every single month. The month should end, and between the 10th and the 15th, you should get an income statement, a balance sheet, and a cash flow. And it's very important to learn how to read these 3 statements. It's going to help you a lot in life because it's going to help you with your business. It's going to help you investing in stocks. It's going to help you investing in other companies down the line if that's something that you want to pursue. And the best way to learn how to do these statements is to review them every single month, line by line, and to ask questions about what you don't understand. The balance sheet shows you a snapshot of the health of your business. You're going to know, hey, am I leveraging too much debt? How are my assets growing? These are important things to know. And cash flow is going to show you how much cash or how your business is actually doing cash wise. So there are a lot of e-commerce businesses out there that are profitable, but go out of business because they run out of cash, which is why it's important to monitor the cash flow statement. And a lot of you, I'm assuming, know what a P&L is, a profit and loss statement. And that's where you're going to see revenue, expenses, and income statement. But make sure that you're not just skimming over the balance sheet, skimming over the cash flow, and only looking at the income statement. In your monthly finance meeting, which we're going to talk about in a second, make sure that you are going through all three of those reports. And the best way to get better at them is just do it every single month. You look at them every month for 9 months, you're going to have a very good understanding of your business and the direction it's going. The last thing I'll add is you want to compare it to the previous month and to the same month last year if you've been in business for more than a year. You want to look for trends. That's what you should be doing every single month.
Yeah, I wanna add you something. I remember I was going to this 4 days MBA. I don't know if you know Keith Cunningham. It's very like a famous guy on improving your finances, and he was teaching us one cool thing. And I wanna share a screen with you guys and show quickly. Let me just share the screen. You need to understand how to read correctly your what numbers you see in and like, for example, when you're thinking about a football game, like for example score, we get used to reading, like you can see the score and you see like home, guest, which means the guys who playing, like how many goals they have, what's the period and what's the time. But some games, they're more difficult to read. For example, this is the curling game, like you like, hey, what's going on there? It's a bunch of numbers, and I don't know like how to put them together to understand where I'm at. So the cool part about Nathan and helping other people to, I hope you got the point when I show you this. Oh, sorry, I wrong the click. Stop sharing. Yeah, so I hope you guys understood. I don't know if my screen was clear enough, and we have some problems today whole day with the Wi-Fi. So if you compare understanding a scorecards of your business correctly, then it will be much easier for you to make correct decisions. And the cool part about Nathan Company, they provide all the statements and reports to make sure you're doing a right logical decision based on the numbers that you have in your company.
Absolutely. Cool. You want me to keep going?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the next thing, we're on number 9, is there are a lot of great Amazon tools out there, like Sellerise. There are a lot, and those are great, but they do not replace bookkeeping. They are an addition to bookkeeping. They can give you lots of valuable insight into your business. They can go in depth, maybe on stuff that is not necessarily on your income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow, but it does not replace monthly bookkeeping. You need monthly bookkeeping to file taxes. You need monthly bookkeeping to make a real decision on your business. We have lots of clients who use A2X plus another software, but it does not replace normal bookkeeping. And I think that's a huge mistake e-commerce sellers make, is they think, hey, I'm using this one tool. It shows me profit. That's all I need for bookkeeping. That's not the case.
Yeah. Those of you guys who probably thinking that some Amazon tool can completely replace bookkeeping, you probably never seen a good bookkeeping report or complete bookkeeping report. Once you see the complete bookkeeping report, it will be like a click in your head saying, oh my gosh, I was missing so much of data that was I was kind of walking blind with the information about your finances. So bookkeeping cannot be replaced by anything that's available out there nowadays.
Absolutely. Number 10 is not letting your bookkeeper and your CPA communicate. I remember pulling my hair out, and I don't have any hair, but we have a client who wouldn't let us talk to his CPA. And that's pure craziness. Your CPA is there to help you save taxes, and we're doing your books. We need to be on the same page. They might look at it and have recommendations for us to make changes. And so we now started, during our integration process, we get your CPA's information so that we can communicate with them, have them communicate, get them connected one way or the other. It's only going to help your business. Your CPA might charge you for the time talking to us or talking to your bookkeeper. It's completely worth it. Communication is good. And if you have a CFO, all three of them should be communicating. Set up that communication channel, encourage communication, get them all on the same page. That's only going to help your business. Just like if you have a lawyer, your lawyer and your accountant should be on the same page. Everyone that's working for you, whether they're an employee, a contractor, whatever it is, give them the ability to communicate if it makes sense, and it's going to help your business.
Nathan, like I have to add you this information as well. It's not only about accounting as well. Like you're absolutely right. They have to be connected. But this miscommunication, it's one of the biggest disaster, I would say, of this century, when right now there's so much information flowing inside every business process, marketing campaigns, and different people from different departments, services, tools, all of this information just going like a huge wave that can completely kick your ass out of your business overnight. So it's like a huge monster of information flowing, and sometimes you like looking at the mistake and you're like, hi, it's so simple. Like why we did this, like why we didn't optimize this process or that process. And then once you just trying to deconstruct the whole problem that appear and how you want to go move forward, the only problem you realizing it's just miscommunication. So
Absolutely.
For communication, guys, you have to use channels like Slack or Telegram, wherever guys you use. Make sure you set up this correctly. Make sure you put all the people who are responsible in the process in place, and always make sure that always a one person responsible for the end result. So you can ask this specific person. If you have a CPA, bookkeeping, CFO, you need to ask yourself, who is the end of the day is the main guy who I can ask to make sure everything been filed correctly, everything been set up correctly, all your conversion campaigns, all your financial campaigns are getting. Even I suggest you to connect your logistics team to the to your finance team, because these guys, like like it happened to me a few times already in the past. When, let's say, when in the company a lot of money going, you can easily lose $70,000-$50,000, like, or even $100,000 without even noticing this. I remember I've been replacing one of my bookkeeping person, and when new person came, she said like, hey Dima, I just find out that $57,000 was not paid by your client. I'm like, are you serious? It's impossible, they always pay. So, and yeah, we dig into the numbers and we find out this invoice never been paid. So basically we would lose $57,000 like easy, So, and then we send the request to the client. He said, oh yeah, I missed your invoice, and we get $57,000 deposit to your bank account, which is sounds crazy, but you would be surprised how often this type of mistake and miscommunication between logistics, finance, and all of your departments can happen all the time.
Completely agree. Communication's everything. Whenever there's a breakdown on your team, 99% of the time it's communication. So
yeah.
Cool. So we went a little over on time, but I got one last one, and that is a monthly finance meeting. So I'm going to post a link here. This is the finance meeting that I run every single month. I've been running it every month for the past 6 years. And so the month ends within the 10 to 15 days. You get your income statement, your balance sheet, your cash flow, and you should have a meeting on your calendar every single month. A meeting that you do not miss for any reason. It's the most important meeting in your company. Your business partners, your husband, your wife, your team leaders, your bookkeeper, whoever should be at that meeting is there. And you are going through your reports, income statement, balance sheet, cash flow. You are comparing them to the same month last year, the last month and the same month last year. And you're going through it line by line to make decisions. And we created an agenda, which is the exact agenda that we go through every single month. I posted in here if you want to grab it. Make sure you're doing it. And for those of you that hate finances, that think you're bad at finances, that feel like you struggle with finances, the best way to get better at it is to do this monthly meeting every single month. And when I sold FreeUp, the point that I always go to is we had an initial conversation with the buyers, and we had nothing in front of us. We were at a conference. They were asking us questions about our business. They were asking us a lot of financial questions about our business, and we answered them. And down the line, when we got to due diligence and they dove into the books, every single number that we told them on that phone call matched exactly what they saw in the books. And that built a ton of trust. And that went a long way in us actually exiting our business. And the reason we knew all our numbers is because we had done that finance meeting every month for the 4 years that we ran the company. So that is one big thing for me to kind of leave you with today. And Dima, I appreciate you having me.
Nathan, thank you so much. So how people can stay in touch with you, and what's the process look like if, let's say, someone decide to start the bookkeeping, or let's say they already have something on their plate but they still want to explore other options? What will be ability, and what's the step processes to connect with you or connect with your team?
Yeah. So first of all, feel free to connect with me on any social media channel. Love meeting just other entrepreneurs, other e-commerce sellers, Nathan Hirsch, or Nathan at ecombalance.com. But yeah, go to ecombalance.com. You can create a client account. It'll ask you some questions about your business and ask you to send us whatever your current books are. We'll take a look at it. We'll give you a quote. Usually those quotes are two things. It's a one-time fee for any kind of setup, catch-up, cleanup, depending on what your books look like, and then whatever your monthly price is going forward. And our service is simple. We charge you on the 1st. By the 15th every month, you get income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow.
Wow, I love it, Nathan. Thank you so much, guys. All right, guys, we was having Nathan today for a 45 minutes call. I hope this information was absolutely valuable for you. For those of you who really wants to take your bookkeeping game to the next level, reach out to Nathan. Their prices right now insanely good. Everything that he was telling me, it really feels like a stealing money from the company. So thank you so much for all these advices. It was like, for me, it was kind of even structure what we're doing and thinking like, hey, we're doing everything right. Also, guys, if you will decide to get on next week webinar where we're gonna talk in deep information how, guys, you can get your money back from Amazon. There's a lot of ways you can, guys, see that Amazon by mistake, I don't know, sometimes maybe it's not, but they're really not underpaying your monthly withdrawals or losing your money or doing incorrect refunds to the customers. There's about 17 or 20 different ways what Amazon can do it. And I can tell a lot of times it's impossible manually to find these mistakes. It's only through like good server and automated system you can maximize the amount. So we're gonna talk about this next week. But also, guys, if you just want to stay in touch and you want to find out about our upcoming webinars, events, please reach out to me. Stay in touch with me. Follow me on social media: YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. If you need email, you can always reach out to me through admin@sellerise.com. I would be happy to help you with any questions you have in your business. Guys, thank you so much for being today with us, and I will see you next week. Nathan, thank you. Bye.
Thanks so much, Ben.